Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Spence, let's trip out.
I'm afraid not every human is as smurfy as they should be, Sassy.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Yeah, certainly. Here we are.
This pizza pie won't pass. Too many calories. Oh, the rest is okay. Natural light! Get it off me! Get it off me!
I don't know the meaning of the word chip.
Documented Geek Day.
It's for breakfast now. Nintendo. It's a cereal. Wow. Nintendo. Super Mario Jump. Nintendo. In a fruit flavored crunch. Nintendo. Here's Zelda too. Nintendo. It's very good news. Nintendo. You just can't move. Nintendo cereal system is a super part of this nutritious breakfast. Nintendo. 2 cereals in one. Wow.
Toys R Us has the Big Bird Halloween costume and the Yoda Halloween costume for trick-or-treating.
Look at that shit, it worked.
Okay.
Goose.
Fucking A. I didn't think I could ever do this on my phone, but here we are. So, we're back. And we got Chris Styles, pop culture punk, back with us in the den with his ever famous Hawaiian shirt. It is so good to see you again, my friend.
Always a pleasure to geek out with you, bros. Miss you guys.
Absolutely. And our good friend Sydnee is back with us this week.
Thank you so much for having me back on.
Oh, of course. Thank you for joining us. Like you said, off camera, the more the merrier. Because as you can see, we are down in person tonight. Craig's internet is down, so he will not be able to join us, unfortunately. But we are going to continue our Kevin Smith retrospective and talk about Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back, anything else that we may go off topic on, because you know how we do here in the den. You've been watching our program long enough by this point. So, I don't know. Chris, Chasing Amy, when did it come into your realm?
This was an instant rental, like whenever it came out. I'm pretty sure by this point, I'm sure I must have seen Mallrats by this point, but I don't know if I had seen Clerks yet or not. So I could think I think of Chasing Amy as like the second Kevin Smith movie for me, even though it's really like his third movie. But yeah, like I loved it. It's ironically, I feel similarly about Chasing Amy and Dogma, that like I feel like they're kind of clearly like some of his best films, if not his 2 best films, but somehow
artistically, absolutely.
Yeah, like artistically, totally, right? But like somehow they're the ones I watch like not the least, but like almost the least. Like I don't revisit. Like Dogma's easily my favorite. I always say like that's my favorite one. Like that one's just so good. It feels like personal.
Same.
It feels a really a great balance. And it's also like I feel like Dogma's sort of like the peak of his powers. Sorry, I know you asked me about Chasing Amy, but Chasing Amy, I feel like
happened worse than this.
Yeah, I feel like Chasing Amy's maybe the peak of his storytelling, like powers or integrity or whatever you want to call that. or like, his storytelling originality, if you will, where he's like,
He wrote a
he's
comic
doing, it's his most trailblazing movie, I guess, maybe Chasing Amy. But then Dogma, I feel like it's just him at the top of the mountaintop, being like, "I got CGI shit demons and Selma Hayek and the girl from Men in Black, and like, eat it, Hollywood." And I love that.
Right.
Like,
Can't forget George Carlin.
right, and it's so deep. Alan Rickman, like, it's just it never ends.
Was it in Dogma?
Oh.
Like the guy literally ran with everything, like any of the hyper realistic fantasy elements involved in religion. Which, let's be fair, there's a lot. Believe or don't believe doesn't matter. There's a lot, right? He ran with it. He made a comic book out of it, except a comic book that had to be done in the form of a movie because it's separated as if it's kind of like when you like once again, Chasing Amy was the question, but Dogma. Dogma was literally done in parts as if they were literal segments of comic books and like in the form of a graphic novel. I mean, like even though like up to you had the intro and then you had the build up and you had the introduction of characters and then you had, the movies thing would have been a standalone, like with Loki and Affleck's, whatever his name was in there.
Bartleby
and Loki dealing with movies would have been its own comic book and a graphic novel. It would have been its own segment.
Mm-hmm.
The entire thing was literally structured like a comic book.
Yeah,
and it was done well. Like it was done really well, obviously.
It's interesting. I kind of feel like now that I'm thinking about Dogma is almost like Kevin Smith's Weird Science, if you will.
Oh,
if he's like the John Hughes of the 90s,
Yes.
like Weird Science is the really off the wall one, but it's fucking so goddamn, it's way better than it has any right to be. And
it really is.
I feel like, Dogma is almost like the Weird Science of the 90s, the Weird Science for Kevin Smith. And I mean that in the best way possible. That's like a high compliment to me.
That's a compliment.
Just for anyone who's like out there who thinks, that's not a badge of honor to wear,
Side
I don't know
note,
what they're thinking, but
Chris, this in particular, only because you brought up John Hughes, is something that I only like. I guess I realized it, but I never really understood until I read it in an article. So John Hughes, only just because you mentioned him, in I guess the teen movies of the '80s. So Pretty in Pink, right? Everybody knows what the original ending was supposed to be,
right? Yeah,
Johnny
supposed to with Ducky.
Supposed to end up with Ducky. It didn't happen. Mother Ringwald didn't want it to go that way. The studio didn't want it.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. They shot it that way, and then they test screened it that way. The audiences hated the test screening. Were like, no way. We wanted to get with Andrew McCarthy. Fuck John Cryer. I mean, what a blow! What a fucking blow to you as a man and as like an actor, and it's all these things.
Right? They want the fairy tale ending, and especially at the time. And I understand that, but what's great, and I fucking should have known it because like one of my favorite John Hughes movies is Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yeah, I love Some Kind of Wonderful.
In order to fucking make the ending he wanted from Pretty in Pink, he said, "I'm doing this."
Yeah.
To correct that.
And Eric Stoltz was so miserable doing Some Kind of Wonderful. And he had just been fired off Back to the Future.
Yeah, he was mostly sad about Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And no, but he was also he was also on the verge of getting fired from Some Kind of Wonderful every day for the same shit that he got fired for from Back to the Future.
No sense of humor, overly dramatic.
Well, I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what I've read, and what I've been told by other, actors who worked with him and such.
Mecca said that he was too serious in Back to the Future. He wasn't applying the comedy the way the comedy was written. He was running with it in a dramatic fashion. That was the way I was led to believe that was the problem.
Yes, but that behavior extended off screen in between takes and things like showing up to work in wardrobe, being Marty and stuff like that. There's a lot of things also. He's always very challenging with his directors. I think back in the 80s, the same problem with Howard Deutsch, and he really had the hots for Leah Thompson. They had like some kind of thing going on, and Howard Deutsch, the director of Some Kind of Wonderful, ends up marrying Leah Thompson.
Right.
So there was a lot of standoffishness there.
There was contention just because of that.
Eric Stoltz, not to go too deep on this, but Eric Stoltz used to run around because they had that song by the Psychedelic Furs in both movies.
Right.
And Eric Stoltz used to run around singing the song instead of changing the lyrics. Instead of "Isn't she pretty in pink?" it's "Aren't we pretty in pink?" So he would just run around the set like "Aren't we pretty in pink?"
Either way, he was great in The Fly too.
Oh, I love Eric Stoltz. I think he's brilliant. You know, Pulp Fiction. There's so many performances. You know, Mask,
Out of
obviously.
Order, that fucking Showtime show. Like that was a great fucking show. Out of Order. It was
okay.
It didn't get probably the credit, the attention that it deserved. I mean, at the time it was him and Justine Bateman and a couple of other people. It was a fucking I want to say a 2000 show. It was one of the Showtime's first forays into like making their own dramatic shows, like not that weren't fucking the Skinamax quality fucking things. Like they were actually storyline based. He was fucking.
Perversions of Science had its reason for existing, all right?
But absolutely, for that matter, like Showtime did good with all. Like, what was the one that David Bowie did the second season of? It was fucking great.
But I don't know. It's all a blur. There was Real Sex. There was so many of those back in the day. There was Real Sex. There was that one. There was
This one wasn't that. It was almost like a precursor to one of the Masters of Horrors thing.
90s cable was sleazy and
wonderful.
Was, dude. I love Red Shoe Diaries. Like,
even like USA Network was like, "Yo, silk stockings for the like PG-13. It's racy." You know,
exactly. Lex was a Korean fucking sci-fi show that used to come on before Farscape on Sci-Fi. The entire thing was nothing but boob jokes and bad fucking CGI. It was so
great.
Horrible, and people talk about it like it was wonderful.
Give me a Bigfoot pizza and like a 2-liter of soda, and that sounds like a great pizza. 90s Friday night.
Yeah, I started enjoying the show when I
used to get that in my dorm room all the time. The Bigfoot, I'd eat it for like 3 days.
Oh man, the Bigfoot was the best. I feel like things that were there was things that were sold by the foot in the 90s that had no reason to be.
It was a shit.
Well, it's like the 3-liter bottles of soda. You can't get them anymore. Like everything in the 90s was.
3-liter bottles of Surge used to exist at a fucking Kmart house. Yeah. And this was when Surge was still like amped on the fact that it had caffeine in it, which was hilarious because every soda
caffeinated syrup.
Yeah, it was syrup mixed with soda water, and it was
not but not a lot of soda water.
No, it was just enough to cut it. Like it was like
to make it not so viscous that you could drink it, as opposed to pour it over pancakes.
Yeah, but you could have done either, and it still would have been acceptable. That shit was fucking great.
Right.
It was fucking wonderful. That was right.
God damn, you could trap a mouse in that shit, though.
Yeah, you could, but it would just create mice that were super happy to run the maze.
Or it'll create shit demons to try and bring it back to dog.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Or are we talking about chasing Amy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, chasing Amy.
Back to chasing Amy.
So I feel like it's Joey Lauren Adams' like shining moment of pop culture impact and all that. So I mean, she's in bigger movies. Like Big Daddy is one of the biggest movies of the year in '99. But I don't know. This is to me like this. You think of Joey Lauren Adams, boom, you think of Chasing Amy.
I think of Biodome, but that's me.
I think of Mallrats.
I can understand that.
I think of Mallrats because of him.
I think of Mallrats
going through the dressing room.
Pervert.
Yeah,
hits it. Like that's the moment that stands out for her.
Yeah.
I think of the character she plays in Mallrats, I guess, but I feel like the movie she gets the most screen time is definitely Chasing Amy.
She does.
100%.
She played her. She played her in a way that was sympathetic. Like even for a dude at the time watching it, you're like, Oh,
I just rewatched it. Like literally, it ended right before I sent the meeting on.
Yeah, me too.
So I was like, I got to get a refresher course. I've had 2 weeks to fucking watch this movie, and I haven't watched it. That's me. But
I feel like it's also kind of a transitional. Let's say if it's a sort of transitional movie for Jason Lee too. I feel like this is sort of Jason Lee's like graduation movie where it's like, all right, now you're gonna go do movies with Tom Cruise and people like that. Like, you know, you're a real fucking actor now. You're not just a skateboarder anymore. Like,
which is fucked up too, right? Because I mean, in Mallrats, Jason Lee is a standout character. Like
he's amazing in Mallrats. Yeah, he's he steals every scene.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was. I was in the middle of playing Final Fantasy VII when it released on PlayStation 1. At an apartment I had in the shittiest possible area of Georgia, with my roommate. I'm paying Final Fantasy VII, and literally I have, as we mentioned, Joe Cola, except I also had a coffee maker and a stand-up ashtray and a little computer chair and just fucking playing. That's all I did. I quit a job over that fucking game. Like literally, I can't be there today. I don't like you, and that was like it. So the thing that got me off of playing that game was fucking Mallrats. Like my roommate went and rented some movies, and the dude at the store was like, "Hey, have you ever seen Clerks?" And he's like, "No, what's Clerks?" And he was like, "Well, this isn't it, but here's Mallrats."
This isn't it.
Crazy Mallrats. And we only had the one TV, so it was like, "Hey, you can stop playing this long enough for us to watch this." I was like, "Yeah, no, I should do that. We should stop playing." And I stopped. He put in Mallrats, and I was like, "Shit, that's fucking wonderful." Thought it was fucking hilarious. It was an entire new way of watching movies that also related to all the movies I loved growing up. I was like 17, 18 years old, and like you were saying, like you compared the John Hughes thing, like that's a real fucking comparison. It's a solid comparison.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know,
Kevin
I mean, like-
Smith's favorite director is John Hughes. I actually watched The Breakfast Club on the big screen with Kevin Smith last year
Oh,
at
that
Smart
was
Castle.
Fucking rad.
That was so cool.
Yeah, I have my pictures from that day.
Oh man, that's so cool.
I
Yeah.
love him. I love him so much. So
Oh, he seems. Yeah, everyone who's met him, I know says just
Oh,
he's
I've
the
heard
greatest
nothing but
guy.
good
Yeah,
things about it. I've heard
yeah,
nothing but good
exactly.
things about it.
Like that's like
Exactly.
there's not a part of him that isn't related. Like we know the thing is every single one of us individually, we know that fucking guy.
oh yeah.
We all know, even if we don't know him, we know a guy that is literally that.
He's like that,
Yeah, 100%. Like maybe not to the degree, but we know a guy who has the same level of humor and passion for the fucking pop culture nerd shit that goes on.
Yep.
He knows who his audience is, and I mean, we're happy to be that. I would assume.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And like, I love, in Dogma specifically, there is like the ultimate nod to John Hughes where Jay is going on about like fucking John Hughes, man. Look at this place, Shermer, Illinois. There's supposed to be fucking hot chicks and no weed deal, blah blah blah. And like, I love that because my mom, I'm from a town called Northbrook, Illinois. My mom went to high school with John Hughes. My uncle was in his graduating class. And so there's Glenbrook North High School where I would have went if my parents hadn't moved. But 100 years ago, that town was called Shermer, Illinois. So instead of calling it
No
Northbrook, Illinois, the town he grew up in, he called it Shermer in all those movies. So like Ferris Bueller, Weird Science, 16 Candles, that's all Shermer, Illinois.
Okay.
And that's really Northbrook. Like that mall in Weird Science that was like my mall. I used to go there every Sunday in the
Right.
80s.
That's so cool.
Hey, this is our
Yeah,
random side
Fucking
note.
rad.
Where the fuck did Mr. Mom take place?
I think it's a Chicago suburb, but I could be wrong.
It's gotta
Maybe
be,
it's
right. Because I mean, like it was an wasn't it the automotive shit that he was involved in, or was it? Like,
Oh yeah, so it's almost like a weird Gung Ho prequel, then, isn't it? 'Cause I guess
Yeah.
it could be Detroit. It could be Detroit. I don't know.
goddamn, Gung Ho, that's a great fucking movie too.
Gung Ho is fucking fantastic
I
movie.
heard
Getty
forgot about
Watanabe.
Gung Ho. Oh my god, I remember.
That movie.
Gung-Ho is-
There's not a part of that movie that isn't great.
Oh, that's Ron. That's when Ron Howard was making like my kind of movies, Parenthood and Gung Ho and shit like that.
Holy
Like that was
shit.
give me Cocoon and Parenthood and
Oh,
Gung Ho. Like those are my jams.
I love
Yeah.
Mr. Mom was
Fire
Detroit.
Stroke could just result in us naming.
Oh,
movies.
thank you for that.
I'm all about Googling. I'm just like, where now I want to know.
I know,
just
right?
remember the vacuum cleaner. I remember Jaws, and I remember him holding the baby up to the dryer. Like that's what I
And
remember.
you fed him baby chili.
Oh, the Whoopi. Yeah,
it.
you talk to my kid that way again. I'm knocking you out. It's
No,
just,
that was. I remember like watching that scene as a kid. I was like, "Is he gonna? Is he gonna?" Oh, it happened.
well, it's great too because yeah. Not to get too off topic, but I know there is the dream team, but it still feels crazy to me that Michael Keaton and Christopher Lloyd ever like did scenes together. Like that just seems nuts to me. Like I can't believe that happened.
The Dream Team was an unexpectedly good but weird movie for the time it came out. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
What was it? That was a Dan Aykroyd backed thing, wasn't it?
Was that who? I don't know who backed it, but
No, but there was somebody like relatively big in the fucking SNL and like that shit going on at the time that fucking backed the entire thing, which is how it got made. And it's a good movie. It's an awesome movie, but
I was
not.
going to say, I'm not remembering this one at all.
Yeah, Michael Keaton and fucking. There were so many.
Michael Keaton, Peter Boyle, Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple.
Just literally psych
You'll
patients. on a
recognize
fucking
them.
day pass that took it a little too far.
The cover looks
Coming to
familiar,
terms with their shit
actually.
while they did it. It was a great movie.
Pretty solid.
Lorraine
pretty solid.
Bracco's in it. Nice.
Oh God, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, she's in Gung. No, she's not in Gung Ho. I'm thinking of Mimi Rogers. Mimi Rogers in Gung Ho.
Okay.
Oh,
89. Wow. Okay.
still in my heart. Yeah, I remember seeing that one as a kid. But Yeah, so Chasing Amy is, I feel like these are the ones too that like they aged with the most prestige, Like Mallrats
Yeah.
is great, Clerks is certainly prestigious as hell, but I feel like the going back to the well on Clerks, the sequels is sort of like I loved Clerks 2, but Clerks 3 was a little too downer for me. Like I didn't want Clerks to go
It was
there.
rough.
I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
like
It was rough.
It was a wrap up.
I loved it, but damn.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater and then I saw it again afterwards and I cried just as hard the second
Oh
time.
no, I got teary. I definitely got like there may have been a couple of drops, which is
Amy
not.
Sedaris was a nice surprise in that though. I liked that she was in it.
Right?
I love Amy Sedaris.
Yeah.
It was not like there were so many hokey things that you could do in a fucking movie or in a story that are going to result in a cheap fucking emotional response from people. It is going to happen. That was not done badly to me though. It was a great way to fucking like pull it in. Like the one guy who was not supposed to fucking be there, the original kickoff to the entire thing is the dude that fucking kicks off, for lack of a better way to put it. I mean, it is, especially coming from a dude who had just had a heart attack and a life-changing event.
Yes.
Like it made sense to me. Like you could watch it and you'd be like, shit, I get why he wrote it.
Yep. Yeah,
I totally
he was telling that
understand.
part of his life through Dante,
I just think for me, it was a little too, like, if she's dead and he's dead, like, that's just too fucking much for me. Like, that's too much sadness. Like, you've overfilled the cup and I can't take it. Like, it's his world to do whatever he wants with. If he wants to fucking burn it down, piss on the ashes and go windsurfing, he's more than welcome to do it. But, like, I'm not saying that's what he did either. I like everything about it until maybe like the very, 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 very end. I just would have had Dante live, but that's me. Other than that, I love it. But yeah,
in defense of it, is my only thoughts are like if the original version of Clerks was supposed to end with Dante dying, or at least that was how he wrote it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did he say in interviews like the only thing that stopped that from happening was the dynamic between him and Randall or some shit? Like he was watching the conversation, he was like, "That is a
something like that."
Yeah, because he was going to get shot at the end.
Yeah, he was going to have to die.
Yeah.
Like, he was supposed to be there. Plus, he was going to die, and it made the entire thing fucking pointless.
Right.
Which was, I guess, the point of the original Clerks was how pointless it all was. At least I think. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not him, and I'm not fucking Dante or Randall, so I don't know. It is just my assumption. In a weird sort of way, writing it out, especially after having a heart attack right before you go on stage in front of how many thousands of people or whatever, I can't help but think it changed his thought process, period, in the way in which things should have gone, especially if Dante was supposed to be like sort of a stand-in for him.
Right.
Like, I mean, or at least that's my understanding, was originally like it was.
Well, that's why it's at the store he used to work at, like that was.
Right, like that's, I mean, yeah, like straight up, they were filming it at his job. Like, right? I mean, Chris, you've mentioned it before, I think, was like the whole thing was like them filming at night or some shit, and that's why there was the whole.
That's why the shutters were closed. So
That's why the shutters were closed.
I'm sure you were open and all that shit was all because they were filming at night. It was his job during the day.
Yep.
Which is
the quick stop's awesome. I got to go a couple times, which was fun. So
I can't help but think that he was trying to write an end to something that was a huge part of his life leading up to that moment.
Damn it! I knew I was missing uniform. I have a quick stop shirt. I should have worn it.
Gotcha.
I'll put it on when we come back from break.
I got a Loki shirt. Got Damon looking confused with wings. It's a good shirt. It's a fucking
I love your Cthulhu hoop shirt.
I love that too. I saw that.
Just because you're a dark fucking lord doesn't mean you're not into fucking fun and games.
Absolutely.
You may enjoy this shit. We don't know.
It's all about balance.
Excuse me.
Oh, he's not done.
Ooh, Danke
He's
schön.
like he's got liquid hands,
Danke.
right? So it should be easy.
What the fuck?
I've been drinking since
All right, cycling back.
Grab the hoop and get this conversation back.
Yeah, right. Look, let's get back over here. Okay, Sydney.
Yes.
Let's talk about Dogma for a little bit. When was the first time you saw it? Like, for me, I was like maybe 12, 13 years old. Like, I was like 10 when it came out, but So that tells you how young I am. Yeah, I'm a kid here. But I was like 12, 13, so I didn't really have a full understanding of it, but I kind of did because I grew up in the church. So it kind of made me realize just how asinine it all is, like life in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
It
okay.
kind of set me on the path that I'm on now. So, what was it for you?
Did you say
like
you were
when
10?
did you first see it? I was 10 when it was released. Yeah, 10 or 11.
I got married to my first husband the year it came out, so I'm going to go hide.
Oh, wow.
Okay. That's why I'm like, did you say you were 10? I'm sorry. Excuse my old ass hearing. I can't hear with my old lady ears. No, I probably saw it. Like, I definitely didn't see it in the theater. And I told the story when I was on your show before about the first time I saw Clerks. My best friend brought it over on VHS, and then we went to the Quick Stop and everything. That was probably 98. So when I saw that the first time, then I saw Mallrats, then I saw Dogma. So that was my version there. But it probably was not too long after it came out. And I also was raised in the church. My dad's a minister. And I'm going to shamelessly plug my book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Go-Go.
Do it. Plug it.
Point to the fucking sign behind you every 5 seconds. It's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
How a preacher's daughter pole danced her way to finding her true self.
And into Dogma.
And into Dogma.
Yes. Yeah, but I loved it. And it was, I loved Alanis before I saw, and George Carlin. And it had so many familiar faces that the other movies we got to meet, other than like Shannon. Well, no, I guess like Shannon Doherty and Ben Affleck and all are in Mallrats too. But I have my buddy Christ.
Hell yeah.
Point out that buddy Christ, there's not a day goes by, not a fucking day. I don't even, I stay at home, I take care of my daughter, I draw and color pretty pictures. That is what I do all fucking day long. It's a good life, but there's not a day that goes by that I do not think about George Carlin talking about the buddy Christ and then fucking that fucking moment. I was all right. So you were talking I was 20 years old when Dogma came out. I went with a girl that I was sort of seeing at the time. We went to a midnight showing. It was at the Dollar Theater by the time we went to go see it. There was maybe 8 people in there. By the end of it, we were all sitting in the middle of the theater talking and laughing our asses off at every fucking
Oh yeah.
That is a powerful fucking movie. It
brings people together.
Well, yeah, I mean, literally a bunch of people that have never met each other, fucking literally starting at different corners of a theater, all pulling together by the end of it, just so they can talk about the shit they just watched.
Yeah, that's
exactly
right. And it was that also goes back to Kevin Smith's writing ability. The guy can fucking write.
Yes.
He's good with his stories.
It's clever. It makes you laugh, but it also makes you think too. And it's that deeper level of humor. Like there are, of course, the pee jokes and the fart jokes and everything, but then there's the stuff that really makes you go, wow, okay, we're going up a couple levels here. And Dogma especially
by the end of it, which even then, I mean, going into the movie's old enough at this point that I feel that anybody who's not seen it, that's your fucking fault.
Yeah, there's no spoilers in this.
Yeah.
The idea, Affleck and the shit that guy gets, he doesn't deserve it. He's a fucking good actor. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
I just think he's an asshole.
I was going to say he's a garbage human, but his acting.
He might be.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I don't know him personally. I know he's had a fucked up life, but I will say this much for the guy. As far as the pop shit goes, it does say something to me that his first Hollywood wife, Jennifer
Lopez? Oh, no, Jennifer Gardner.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And him are still they're still relatively close.
Yeah.
They are close. Yeah. They remain close through all of it. That does say something about the guy.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
I mean, they have kids together, so I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. But there's a lot of people that can't fucking even make that work. So, I mean, whatever about the guy, I don't know. At least there's that.
Yeah.
But I will say
it's the tattoo that. No, I'm just
as Bartleby, he delivered his last lines in those movies. They're fucking heartfelt. They're sad. There's an emotional little gut punch.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Such a moment and otherwise silly ending, but it works because he delivers it well.
And the other thing about him is he's played so many different characters in Kevin Smith movies. Like he's been in several of them, and they're all very different roles.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
But I loved like
proprietor, a fashionable male.
Oh God, I use that
like a Volkswagen.
I'm fairly uncomfortable. Like the backseat of a Volkswagen.
Exactly.
You're in the backseat of one of those motherfuckers. There's a reason that statement's in there.
I can't even fit in the front.
New Kids on the Block were never the same again after that.
I am a girl. I want to do girl things.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy. Wherever I go, he goes. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. Kiss sister, kiss sister, kiss sister, kiss sister. Wherever I go, you're gonna go. Kiss sister, kiss sister, kiss sister, kiss sister, kiss sister and me.
My Buddy and Kid Sister. Each sold separately from Play School.
Weekends, days off, don't wanna work no more. Gonna take my time now that it's mine, and I don't wanna be where there's no Coca-Cola. This is the life, these are the real things. You're the heart of it. Every day, every way, Coca-Cola's a part of your life. Oh, when Coca-Cola's a part of your life, you can't beat the feeling.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned for Sega. I will say, if I was thinking about it, if we compared Dogma to Weird Science, I don't know if there is a movie you can really compare Chasing Amy to, like an 80s counterpart like that. Maybe Class, if anything, but I don't think that would work. But I think there are other 90s movies you can compare Chasing Amy to. And it's, interesting. I think if you look at movies like Singles or Threesome, if you ever saw that with Josh Charles and what's her name? Lara Flynn Boyle and the Baldwin brother from Biodome. Threesome's an interesting movie. But these movies that kind of are trying to have something to say about sexuality in the 90s and like they're taking good strides, but I don't know if they really knew what they wanted to say exactly. And like maybe that's part of what the 90s is like, like, hey, I've got something to say, but I'm still working it out. Like, bear with me. And like that's kind of like self-aware, era, if you will. Like that brings about, like we were talking about this on VCR, like the Aaron Sorkin, the Kevin Williamson, that kind of that sort of era.
I don't know, just like watching it, like I quit smoking in 2013 and I have no desire to ever start again. But watching Chasing Amy, I'm like, Jesus, I want a cigarette. Like everybody's smoking and like
right. I was like, holy fuck, the cigarettes in this movie.
Yeah, and it's funny just because now you don't see it like that, but back then it was common. Yeah.
I quit around the same time.
Do what?
Reality Bites. Like I quit smoking cigarettes and like cigars. Yeah, but it's not the same thing. There's like one of these a day.
Yeah, Reality Bites is another one. I think that's kind of like Chasing Amy adjacent.
Yeah, Reality Bites does. Like if I watch Reality Bites, I literally just all I can think about is packet smokes.
Yeah.
Like it's not a pleasant feeling, but it's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's what Lisa Loeb's Stay song, isn't that from Reality Bites?
I'm only 4 months out from cigarettes, so I watched Chasing Amy this afternoon. And wow, I really want a fucking cigarette right now.
Almost taste it. Like if you were an ex-smoker, you can.
Yeah, like holy shit! Like the fucking tar.
Yep.
Well, I always say they ruined cigarettes somewhere around the early 2000s when they put all that FSC shit in. Anyways, I could taste
100%.
I could taste the difference, and like it just they all taste like shit after that. Like there's no, that's not long after that I switched to e-cigs. I did 10 years on e-cigs, and I just quit that like almost a year ago now, and I'm still like a little like I'm still like out of the weeds 100%.
Oh, I'm proud of all you guys for quitting. That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't really quit. I just switched the nicotine. Like I like nicotine. I like tobacco.
Yeah, you're on the Uncle Buck plan, right? I got the cigars, and then I go to pipe tobacco, and then the nicotine.
Used specifically for tobacco. I enjoy tobacco, but I will say for anybody that happens to run across this, if you're quitting cigarettes, if you decide to go the cigar or pipe route, you're gonna notice that it's not the same. There are other chemicals. It's not just fucking tobacco in a cigarette. There's other shit in there that you miss.
There's 3,000 chemicals.
Yeah, there's a lot, and they fucking know what they're doing. They've known what they were doing, man. Ever since what was it in the 90s when they that is a 90s conversation. We could do it. In the 90s when they fucking had knowledge, they knew that it was bad for you the whole time and blah, 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 whatever. Right after they did that, they came to an agreement wherein most major cigarette companies, Philip Morris, RJ Reynolds, and somebody else, can't remember who, were going to have to pay into Medicaid and something else in order to make
probably Winston-Salem or something.
Winston-Salem, thank you. They were going to have to pay into Medicaid, and they were also going to have to acknowledge, which is where the Surgeon General warnings came on the packs. But the thing is, what people gloss over with that is they were given permission to do whatever they wanted to cigarettes because they acknowledged that, it'll fucking kill you. Yep. So, by the way, we can add whatever we want now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember,
the taste changed right around that time.
Well, I still vividly remember being a teenager and my father saying to me, cigarettes were the only things sold legally that when used properly would kill you.
It is also
I'm like, never thought about it that way. Didn't stop me from smoking, but I still think of it though.
It didn't stop me either. Didn't stop any of us, obviously.
No, because it's like shit. You're gonna live forever when you're fucking 12.
Yeah, exactly. The time that you guys were saying is when they changed it was when I stopped for a few years because I had my babies, so I wasn't smoking during that time, and then I stupidly picked it back up again when my youngest was.
All it takes is like 1 or 2 cigarettes, and you're right back in it. You know,
exactly, 100%. Like you fucking get back into, you're like, it's not gonna hurt, and the next thing you know, you're back up to 3.5 packs a day.
Yeah.
Well, depending upon who you are.
Yeah.
It's a
not today. You know how expensive those fucking things are.
I don't know. The truth of the matter is, you can always try Chuli's gum.
Exactly. I love Scott, the guy that played the Chuli's gum guy. He's so funny.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a way to wrap everything back into the fucking movies.
Cancer emerging. Cancer emerging.
Cancer emerging.
Pack smokes.
No. Credentials. Chuli's gum. Get out.
Who's leading this mob? She's got the fire extinguisher.
That guy.
Also, I recently read, Chris, you're probably going to know this more than I would. I did read about it, though, and I thought it was kind of cool. Apparently, the only reason Bob has the one line is because Jason Mewes didn't think he could deliver it correctly.
Oh, I don't know
that line about the not everybody fucking does this. They'll not everyone brings fucking lasagna or whatever. That was supposed to be Jason Mewes' line, and he couldn't fucking get it out.
Yes.
Right. Yep, exactly.
What I'm understanding is that's really the reason he just could not deliver it properly, and Kevin got frustrated.
And fucking did it.
Fuck it. Yeah. And fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Yep. And it was the perfect.
And pretty much the way it went down. Clerks 3. And
totally, yeah.
Up until Dogma, in which case it was clearly just to make fun of the fact.
Yes.
Sloppy bitch is always doing this. Like, he doesn't say a fucking word.
It's interesting, too, because I think at one point, obviously, Kevin Smith was supposed to play Dante, right, in Clerks?
Mm-hmm.
I think he chickened out.
I did read about that, too. I didn't know if it was fucking true or not, though. The thing I was reading on was somebody, I think it was like a Reddit post. So, like, you take it with a grain of salt. Somebody was talking about it. Could have been true, might not have been.
Like, I don't know if necessarily he was the one that was originally supposed to play Dante. He might, like, maybe when he was, like, in the early stages of production, like, he was like, maybe I'll play him myself, until he, Brian O'Halloran's took a second to him, like, before he found him, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I wasn't there. So, but we got a whole masterpiece of a film universe out of it.
Absolutely. And Brian O'Halloran's the perfect Dante. Like,
oh my God, yeah, I couldn't imagine
anybody else.
I couldn't imagine anyone else being Silent Bob. That would be crazy.
Oh yeah,
like Jay is Jay.
I feel like they made fun of that shit with fucking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, though. Like they were like with
Vanderbeek and Jason Biggs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
It'd be like Hollywood if they had taken this shit over. And they did the same thing, making fun of fucking Goodwill Hunting with Hunting Day, or whatever. Yeah. Like they made fun of it because it's true, right? Yeah. And like, you're not a Hollywood insider. None of us are, but we do watch it happen. We see it. I mean, we were talking about it in a text earlier. The better horror movie remakes are always the ones where they don't give a shit about getting a PG-13 rating.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, if you're going to remake something, at least stick to the material. If you're going for PG-13, you're pandering to an audience that doesn't care about the movie.
I love that. It's like, we're going to make Die Hard and do it PG-13. It's like,
what the fuck? How are you going to do that? That's 100% impossible. Well,
that's like watching your favorite horror movies on like USA. You know, it's like, no, you're cutting out all the good stuff. Like
it worked for the Stepfather series. I will say that totally
the
still worked.
series wasn't that fucking bad though. Like as far as
I love those movies.
Shit, dude, I think they're great too. I used to watch them all the time. They came on Showtime like every other
Terry
hour.
Quinn.
It's an hour and a half movie, and it was on Showtime every other hour. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
It's a 90-minute movie.
Good time to be alive. That's what it tells me.
The second part, by the way, like I remember watching the first part, and I was like, "Shit, that's fucking dark." Then, I mean, I was a little kid. And then the second part came out, I was like, "Oh, good, they followed it up." No, it's still dark.
You expected it to be all like light and fluffy, like would you want Stepfather 2, Dad in the City, like Lost in San Francisco?
The first time I want to say I was like 12 years old when I saw the second one. It was on Showtime. I had fucking stayed home from school sick. I don't even know what was wrong with me, but it was like fucking 2:00 in the afternoon. The second one comes on, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, he's pulling his hair out, and he fucking goes off and finds another family. I was like, oh, this time he's okay. Like that's all I can think about. After having seen the first one, I was like, at this time he's gonna do it.
But what do you think he was gonna like? You know, go to the Junior Olympics and beat Team Iceland for the gold? Like
I thought he was gonna beat the fucking Russians. I thought this was his moment to turn into a bomber jet and fly into the sun.
He opened up a pizza shop in Florida. And, you know.
Everybody was gonna be happy. I just remember thinking, man, he put his hair out for this. I hope this is.
Oh, Terry O'Quinn. What a fucking I don't know how he and Kevin Smith never worked together, but somehow it's never happened.
Yeah, it's not too late. Wait, is it too late? Is he dead?
No, he's still around. He's still with us.
Good. It's not too late. Maybe we should lobby.
Anything can happen. Keep the faith.
So if you were to see a sequel to either Chasing Amy or Dogma, which would you prefer to see a sequel to?
Dogma.
Oh, we're playing the Redux game.
Dogma.
Yeah, my first thought is Dogma, but there's so much from that could.
I would love to see a Chasing Amy sequel.
So that's why I want Chasing Amy because I think Dogma is complete.
I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you actually on that. Like Dogma's,
I just want to see what they would do with Dogma.
But what about Linda Ferrantino?
They could make a Dogma too.
Like, what happened to? Like, there were a lot of things to go on to it. I mean, the fact that Loki gets killed by Bartleby, but the thing is, he was a human at that point. So what the fuck happens to him? Does he get to cross the gate? He's not an angel anymore.
He hadn't crossed the gate.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He died on Earth. Is he in hell? Like what?
Yeah, happened? But he would have to be at that because of he was cast out.
He was standing in front of Alanis Morissette God at the time, who knew what was going on. So the question is,
Matt Damon did. Bartleby, I think, having been forgiven by the hand.
Bartleby was erased from existence. That was his fucking. That's what.
Yeah, that's what that was.
So Loki, on the other hand, who stood up to Bartleby in front of God, saying you can't do this. What happened to him? He was killed by Bartleby as a human. So what happened? His wings were gone. He was. Where did he go?
That's something to think about.
Yeah, that is
over
true.
our break. So why don't we cut to a break? Peruse that, and then we can come back and talk about that or something else entirely, because we all have the attention span of a gnat. So
there.
All right, we shall be right back after a word from our sponsors. Once I figure out this button thing. Okay, now we are.
Okay, so Jason, you were just saying. Sorry, I'm gonna step on your.
No, you good, buddy.
So yeah, Jason, you were just saying how Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is a sequel to Chasing Amy.
It is, if for no other reason than the end of the movie. They clarify everybody's, like, even the Jason fucking what's his name shows up again, except you find out he's gay. Like there's like the whole thing is done from that point. Like it is, they show her like They even say, didn't
Thank you.
the guy make a cartoon or comic about you? And she's like, yeah, it was stupid. And they wander off. It's not a sequel, but it is an ending. It does exist. There is no sequel to Chasing Amy because
It's a shoot back to it, but
Yeah, I mean that's
like a
definitely a
shout
fair.
out.
That's definitely a fair point. It's not the fully full-on sequel, but yeah, you do see
It
these
was meant,
characters
it was
later.
meant as a wrap up. It was meant as a wrap up because there was never really supposed to be a Clerks 2.
no.
Like James Silent Bob Strike Back was supposed to be the end originally, and then
Yeah,
Kevin
with the
Smith
whole
decided he was just going to keep making.
Yeah, that whole thing at the end of Mallrats, right?
Right.
Jane Silent Bob will
Right.
return, and so will Suzanne.
Yes.
Yeah, that whole moment was supposed to be a lead off to something that didn't really fucking matter, except it happened.
Yeah.
And the next thing you have Jane Silent Bob, and then it turns into a wrap up for a bunch of shit. I don't know. Do you wonder whether or not Kevin Smith was like, well, fuck it, this might be the last one? I mean,
he might think
That's what I'm
after
saying.
every movie that he
Yeah, I
makes.
think so.
That's how he approaches them all.
For shit, right? Like Weinstein had just taken control of Dogma, and I'm guessing some other shit. And my suspicion is maybe he didn't know if there would be more after that.
Well, that's what I mean. That's how he approaches every movie that he makes. Is this might be the last
Like this
one?
is the final.
Except Tusk, I think he was like, "No, I'm definitely doing another one."
No, Tusk is Tusk. Tusk is a standalone. Which, by the way,
Yeah, that's a conversation in and of itself.
Yeah.
Chris, you mentioned earlier some of his best writing, right? Like some of his best stuff. Red State does not get the fucking love that it's due.
I have to be full disclosure. I have yet to see Red State. I know.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
But I forgot it existed until
Here's
you
the
just
thing.
said it.
No full disclosure.
I always forget it exists.
Nobody
Like Jersey
has
Girl.
mad about not seeing it because it wasn't pushed as hard as it should have been. It's fucking incredible. Every movie, it is like literally. You could call it a horror. I don't even call it a horror movie. I don't know the best way to describe it. It might as well be, I guess, it may be torture porn. I'm not sure, but it's fucking dark. But it's well written. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible movie. And what's even better is, and having never seen a Kevin Smith movie, you sit down and watch it, and you've heard of Kevin Smith, you'd be like, man, that's what I would imagine a Kevin Smith movie to be.
Okay.
Except it doesn't match anything else he's ever written. Like Tusk. Tusk is fucking dark. It's some body horror shit. There's definitely some terror in it, but it's still a Kevin Smith movie. You fucking know it is. Even the way it's, even the conversation between Parks and fucking Long, leading up to the transformation, that is Kevin Smith dialogue, right? Like
Right.
you can feel it going through. If you watch Clerks, you can be like, yeah, that's Kevin Smith movie. Not Red State. Red State stands alone.
Okay.
It is
Another movie that's like, you can tell it's a Kevin Smith movie based on the dialogue alone, and it's also in the Askew universe. Many people would argue that it's not, but it's a View Askew Productions movie, so therefore it's in this universe.
Right.
Zack and Miri make a porno.
Oh, yeah,
great
yeah.
fucking movie. Wonderful movie.
Fucking fantastic movie. And I say it's definitely an Askew universe movie because you don't know if it's the same universe or not because it takes place in Pittsburgh instead of New Jersey. So it's right there.
I could see that. Yeah.
That's why you don't see Jane Silent Bob
Right.
or anybody else.
You don't see Jane Silent Bob.
It's a different city in the same universe.
I could see that. I will say the long lost Kevin Smith sequel, I think, for me is probably always going to be Mallrats. And to me, Jay and Silent Bob is actually more of a sequel to Mallrats to me than I think it is to Chasing Amy.
It is.
But it's probably, and in actuality, that's probably just because of like my Mallrats being my first Kevin Smith film and like blah, blah, blah. And the monkey and like, a couple elements like that, I guess. But
No,
it's really,
it is a straight follow up to the biggest movie at the time, which was Mallrats. You're right. You're 100% right. Jane Silent Bob is a straight up sequel.
But I still feel like we didn't get the proper Mallrats sequel. So if we didn't get the proper Mallrats sequel, I think we definitely didn't get the proper Chasing Amy sequel. And we didn't get any degree of a Dogma sequel. But that may just be the one that's like, oh, it's so perfect. Don't revisit it. Don't do it. Like, don't, don't try and do Stairway to Heaven Part 2,
I would
It
agree
have
with that.
to
if it
change
weren't-
so many elements in it.
If it weren't,
Yeah.
if it wasn't for the thing about, we during the commercial break we were talking about this. if it wasn't for the fact that Loki was a human being when he died. That is my only part about Dogma that stands out to me. He gave his life to stop somebody else who, like, at least if you follow the story, he gave his life to stop a celestial being from subverting God's plan. Does he go to hell? And if he does go to hell, where's the redemption arc? There has to be one based just around Kevin Smith's writing. There has to be a redemption.
Right.
Well, wouldn't he go to heaven because his intentions were to stop?
You would think so, except he was literally barred from ever going to heaven. So there's like a whole...
Well, here's the theory. Given his status as a human at the time,
Right.
having been killed by Bartleby, and in the position that he was, having not crossed the threshold of the church yet,
right,
thus resetting everything.
Not having not, but like refusing to cross, like he decided not to.
Right. But given that, he would probably be sent to purgatory. Given that it's based on the Catholic faith.
Right.
Maybe, except for the fact that Bartleby, they don't clearly say Bartleby was fucking erased from existence, except that's what happened. He was wiped out of existence.
Right.
I was gonna say it's way out there idea, but if you're I don't want to cut you off too hard. But I was gonna say, what if, to do a follow up to Dogma, you had Jason Lee playing like an Indiana Jones type of character, adventuring through other religions. Like we've done Christianity. Like, what if we handled like other religions and like supernatural elements of it? Like what kind of adventure, what kind of like Indiana Jones hero would Kevin Smith do? And I think like what would have to be Jason Lee. Like he's probably the most
100%
up for that task, right? To kind of like punch a Nazi and like have a cool one-liner. Like,
so if you did
the only other possibility is TS, obviously. I think, or Ben Affleck. I guess maybe you could do it, but Ben Affleck's already a character in Dogma, so Jason Lee's right there.
Jason Lee was the demon. What's his name?
Was he? Fucking goddamn it! That's right.
Azrael.
Yeah.
Azrael the demon.
Fuck.
So, but here's the thing: you could build from that.
It's Azrael's, but it's Azrael's cousin Jazrael or something.
Yeah.
It's all right. Call me Landfill, guys. It's okay.
Exactly.
I feel better if you all just call me Landfill.
I would appreciate if you would also call me Azrael.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fucking, it's all good.
Like you could actually do it because even Azrael, as he was presented in the Dogma movie, was relatively sympathetic. Not because he wanted air conditioning, but because he didn't fucking choose a side. That's why he was punished.
Right.
Right. These guys were actually, like, as far as the story goes, were actually trying to subvert God's will. They were trying to find a back door through God's will. He was punished for not choosing a side. You could arguably kick a second part off just with Jason Lee after everything that, even if he kicked off all the shit in Dogma, he's the one that wanted it to happen. You could still run with that. You could do a hell of a lot with that. Let me rephrase.
That'd be
Kevin
cool.
Smith could do a hell of a lot with that.
Yes. Yeah. That would be fucking cool.
The flying spaghetti monster, and could be like different, like you were saying, taking on different faiths.
Oh my god, yeah! Give me the Kali cult. Give me the Temple of Doom episode. Give me the
Kali Ma Shakti Day. Do it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That is one of the most terrifying moments.
So much. That was
Temple of Doom is my
party
favorite
classic.
indie movie. Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, 100%. To me, that's always going to be my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and that's nothing against the other two. The other two are still like perfect movies.
I like it.
But,
you only recognize two more.
Is the way to go with that. Very good.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, let's be real. But so the other, like I said, the other two are perfect movies. But Temple of Doom is probably and will ever, I think, probably forever be the greatest opening to any movie ever. because like the entire first like I don't even know like hour or half an hour, it's just like everything's great. You get a Spielberg musical that is like surreal and like breaks the walls and realities of physics and makes no sense in this tiny little room. You get to see Indiana Jones being James Bond, like the tuxedo, the suave, the cool shit, like making deals, wrapping up a movie that like that I would watch that movie, and that's like a great third act right there with the ice everywhere, and she's looking for the diamond, he's looking for the antidote, the fucking balloons, everything. It's just perfect. So
when you were a kid watching the scene where they were fucking spinning the Lazy Susan with the diamond on it, the violins descending as it fucking twirled.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched that movie, I was just like, like silly little fucking moment, but it stands out. It's a brilliant,
like the gun rolling and he's behind him.
Yeah, every second of that. And it wasn't like I was fucking 35, 36 years old before I figured out the club was called Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi.
Oh my God! No, I caught that. I caught that when I was like a teenager, but I was a little later to Star Wars.
I was like, oh shit, it is.
That was like when I'm like watching, Indiana Jones is like a, is like a 12, 13-year-old, and I'm like doing this, like, oh my God, George Lucas and Spielberg, like really? They did this together? Like, holy shit, But yeah, we're way off of the dogma beaten path.
Oh yeah.
But just the idea that like, Jason Lee could like lead you on these kind of religious adventures, like would be.
I'm behind it.
I would watch it, especially like Kevin Smith wrote that if he took it up from fucking Azrael's reassignment to hell, I guess that's what would have happened at the end of Dogma. Like everything would have gone back to where it was, except for the people that got annihilated from existence. He would not have just let it slide.
This here's the Cruncher, and these are Tough Tracks with all the roaring, fired up, fuel-injected power of the big boy. Like Gravedigger, King Crunch, Carolina Crusher, Equalizer. Feel the humongous horsepower. Thunderman is torque. Revving those RPM to the max. That's pulverizing power. I like that. Tough Tracks, mind-blowing, keep on going. Trailblazing, amazing monster machines.
Monster Mondo and Mondo Trucks.
Tough Tracks, each sold separately from Galoob. Are you tough enough for Tough Tracks?
Get lucky in the game of life.
The game of life is better than ever.
Go to school, get a job that's cool. Get lucky in the game of life. Marry your honey, go someplace sunny. Get lucky in the game of life.
He would have gone a different route. You could arguably make one hell of a second part right there.
Yeah, like he's trying a different path to get to his, goal.
Yeah, I mean, he was a sympathetic character, right? Like that was, he was a demon. Like the Golgothan was not sympathetic. That was a shit demon. That's disgusting. Neither was the little skater dudes. They were fucking not sympathetic. Azrael was sympathetic.
The hockey demons.
Yeah, Azrael was a sympathetic creature or character. Right up there, arguably every other character in the movie. They were all sympathetic with the exception of the Golgothan and the fucking hockey demons.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But for me, the sequel that I'm waiting for is it's not even really a sequel, it's just a continuation of the True North trilogy. The completion of the True North trilogy, Moose Jaws.
Moose Jaws.
Oh, Moose Jaws.
Yeah, you got Tusk, Yoga Hosers, which
not great.
I loved.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but I loved it.
Yeah,
and then you got Moose Jaws, which Kevin Smith has described as Jaws, but with a moose.
I love that.
Which is how most beasts are.
I need to see this.
Yeah, well, Moose Jaw Man.
Like when Cocaine Bear dropped, I was like, I need to watch that movie. I need to see Moose Jaws.
I still haven't seen Cocaine Bear or Tusk or
Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear was fucking great.
Yeah, I know. I
did a whole episode on it. It was
I will admit though, like there's a part of me that's like I'm already like more like drawn towards Meth Gator and like the knockoff shit. I'm like, oh man, give me the cheap like
the real thing. It happened.
Crackoon.
Crackoon. So bad.
Crackoon.
Crackoon is amazing.
Our friend,
God! Wow.
Our friend Morgan is in it. So yeah.
You ever see Zombievers?
Zombievers. Oh my god.
Zombievers. That sounds hilarious.
I may have seen that. Yeah.
It is everything that you know what? I can just say the name. It's everything you think it is. It's fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
Zombie beavers fighting people, turning them into fucking zombie beavers. It's wonderful.
That's awesome because these
It's
are
like
all
Black
taking,
Sheep, but with beavers.
There you go. These are taking like the Sci-Fi Channel terrible things and like
that's the
more horror. That's what I love about it. Mega Python versus Gatoroid. Did you guys see that one?
Oh, it sounds incredible.
It has Debbie Gibson and Tiffany in it.
Oh
my god!
And Mickey Dolenz randomly. Like it's so good. It's so good. You have to see.
Monkey?
It's like,
I love it. Yeah.
All I can think about is
the drummer from the Monkeys.
Yeah. Mickey Dolenz from the Monkeys and Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and another guy that I can't think of his name.
That is so random.
I love it. I love it. And they do like all the puns, they're like out in the middle of the woods and they're like, I think we're alone now. Like they do.
You have to.
Yeah. So fun.
You have to at that point.
Good.
This is why I like doing this.
You're gonna go through this again, time after time after. Oh wait, that's Cindy Lauper. You bitch. Yeah, I could just see that. Yeah.
It's like, do you want to do
just
this
giving up
only
for a
in your
lawsuit.
dreams?
Yeah, only in your dreams.
It's so
of the three people watching this, one of them's a lawyer.
Exactly one person that's like, hey, nobody talks about Debbie while I'm here.
Hey, this is all out of there. First of all,
I am praising this movie.
This is all out of love. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Debbie Gibson.
What's even better? Somebody's going to say that and be like, zombie.
Tiffany.
I know Zombievers.
Tiffany can do no wrong. I tell you that.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some really good movies like that out there. But back to Kevin Smith.
Yes.
Peace.
But that's why I want to see Moose Jaws, because I can see it going that route, but in a very Kevin Smith way.
Yeah.
And I need to see a B horror movie made by Kevin Smith. We kind of already did with Tusk, but that was just body horror. But I want to see
Tusk is actually well done body horror. I would have argued that
I love Tusk. Tusk is one of my favorite movies.
I want a Kevin Smith movie, View Askew style to the max in every way, but it's set in the Star Wars universe.
Oh,
so
fuck,
like two stormtroopers or two construction workers on a Death Star, like two people doing some banal fucking job somewhere in the galaxy, and they're just stuck at work all day talking about shit, having laugh. You know what I mean? Like
I want the guys from the conversation that Randall and Dante had.
I was going to say,
exactly.
they touched on that at Clerks. They can talk about
that without a problem. Two dudes fucking working on the Death Star and their fucking shitty armor that makes it hard to see right before they blow the fuck up.
And they're talking about the Clerks trilogy and like how they fucked up the ending and whatever.
They can call it independent contractors instead of clerks because that's what they were talking about.
No,
independent contractors.
Why did you take this job? I've got fucking bills to pay. I'm not a big fan of the Empire. That whole fucking that conversation.
Your politics definitely come into play.
You can have an Empire list and a fucking just a dude who's there. Like
somebody out of roofer
about the fact that this particular part of the Death Star has a hole in it that could easily be blown up. Like you could literally that whole fucking thing could be 2 hours worth of a movie. Just them fucking. Yeah. Why are we building an exhaust port here? We have to. It's in the plans.
That'd be great. I would love it. I want to see this.
His name just flew out of my head, but he plays like multi people in Clerks. He's the guy with the eggs, and he's the guy that comes up with the. Highly offended me.
I can't remember his name.
But
he was on Comic Book Man. Yeah.
The high school guidance counselor.
Yeah, he's the guidance counselor, but he's also the offended customer. And
he's my favorite explanation in that movie, though. Just the entire, eventually they realize how pointless their jobs are, and this is what they do. Exactly. That moment, I was fucking 17, and I was like, it is the only rational conclusion. Literally, I was watching, I was like, that makes sense.
Walt Flanagan.
Yes, Walt Flanagan.
It just popped into my head. I'm like,
Craziest thing I've seen since Walt Flanagan's dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking, is that Steve alive? Is LaForge still alive?
Dude
from
Sven, Sven Ole Thorson. I believe he passed away a couple years ago. I believe.
Damn it, it would have been great to have him pop up in another fucking movie.
I think I could be way wrong with that. Forgive me if I am.
Well, so if you didn't know who the hell he was in Mallrats, like you didn't know who LaForge was.
I knew who he was.
I didn't.
But
I didn't. So he didn't need to be. He wasn't important other than the
one
fact
of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best friends.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
So
I see fucking.
Oh, that's Sven Ole Thorson. Holy fucking shit!
Yeah,
I didn't realize that until now.
And you don't know. Like, I didn't know who he was in the
I
movie.
call some steroids.
It wasn't a big. It's like LaForge. He's there. You got to worry about LaForge. It would have been awesome if he shown back up in another fucking movie.
Yeah.
If for
I want to say he passed away a couple years ago. Sadly.
No, but we pitched, we actually pitched that on our show. It was like Mallrats 2, LaForge Awakens or something like that.
I love that.
That'd be golden.
I would.
Yeah, I'm a total whore for a title pun.
Dude, I would draw
That's
the
awesome.
cover to that for free. I would 100% fucking illustrate the shit out of it. Just him standing there all fucking.
All right, we need to talk after class. On some collab. We need to talk after class on some collab shit because you've seen my page, right? It's all movie poster mashups.
I've seen. I know what's fucked up is everybody that has been on here, Sydnee included, yourself and anybody else that has come through from the Geek Den shit. I have ended up with post after post after post after post after post on my page, and which is great because I don't have to worry about anything else. I've got not one like politically worrying thing. Because all I have is what I would qualify as silly shit that makes me happy.
Yeah. I try so hard to just keep it light and fun for everybody,
Oh, no, so do I. I figure the
whole
world's
point,
I don't have to fucking cheer it on.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yep.
No.
You can, like spend time laughing and just being silly and enjoying the fun stuff in life. And that's what I said with like my podcast or going on podcasts like this. It's like we're adults, but we're just playing with our friends. And like you need to keep doing that even as you become a grown up. You have to still have playtime with your friends.
We still, no matter how old we get, we all need and are entitled to, I think it's like a basic human right to have like a Bigfoot pizza and laugh with your friends on a Friday night. Like we all need that. That is like one of the most important like therapies in life. And luckily Kevin Smith gave us a lot of movies to like, do that too.
Actually, you know what's fucked up? That you actually weirdly pulled it back. So I've always referred to this as alley beers in between sets at a show. That is to me what this is. It's literally hanging out with your friends outside, drinking trunk beers while the next band sets up. Kevin Smith is that in movies.
Yeah.
And it's that's a compliment. That's the greatest compliment I can.
And you know what? Like, speaking as someone who played and toured and fucking did all that stuff for years and years and years, those are the moments you remember the most. It's like the beers before the show. The shows all blend together. I can't remember Colorado from fucking California, but I can remember like the cigarettes before out in the alley, or
You're talking to a new person who you mentioned maybe 5 minutes ago online. It's
side quest, yeah.
Yeah, that is a moment. That is a particular moment that it glues, it gels. Everything
Pennsylvania
else,
too, side quest.
that is actually arguably, I would say that's what I love about a Kevin Smith movie. They're a moment in time framed by a guy who really understood it.
And I just like how much they just get ingrained into your day to day. Like, even like, you can't say 37 around anyone in my family. You're going to get in a row. Like, it's not even it just comes out.
I seen my entire birthday around it this year.
I will say,
I did on my 37th. It was 37 birthdays.
I turned 37 this year, and that was the entire theme. I bought a clerk's uniform and everything.
Not to get so old.
Not to get political, but I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a Nancy Reagan memoir that came out but apparently she loved to give head and was famous for it and gave great, head. So my favorite meme ever is just fucking Ronald Reagan as she's walking out trying to suck any dicks on your way to the parking lot from Clerks. It is one of the fucking best memes anyone has ever fucking made. It's on the Mount Rushmore of memes. Like, seriously.
Oh my God. All the fucking Mr. T shit.
Mr. T shit. The Nancy Reagan. Right.
No, I feel
Oh
sad.
my God.
I was like, Mr. T sucks dick. What do you say? No, I'm just kidding. I
Man was a warrior, for God's sakes. And she said, just say
That's
no.
the Rocky sequel we need.
Yeah, right.
It is the way to do it. Kevin Smith could fucking write that and I'd watch it.
Yeah, right.
That's the fucked up part.
Clubber Lang is fucking. Clubber Lang is slobbering Wang.
That wasn't the milk they were giving him to get on the plane.
Oh shit!
What's your prediction,
dude? Somebody will sign a shirt immediately.
God,
just fucking
damn.
Mr. T and Nancy Reagan and fucking somebody screaming in a row.
Yeah.
7. Yeah, Mr. T being like, damn, 37 dicks. I don't even have 37 gold chains on.
It's sad. Maybe with fucking Arnold.
I got one chain for every dick the first lady sucked in Hollywood.
Fucking A. Where are we now?
I just want,
What rails?
Hey woman, I bet you stay up late every night wishing you had another dick.
I see it in stark black and white. I see it in just solid framed black and white and just people wearing it, not understanding it, but feeling it.
Dramatic black and white, though. Very dramatic. Nice. Yeah, I like it.
Like film noir style.
Oh, yeah. Classy, Talking soft lighting, large lens.
Holy shit.
There you go.
What show are we here to do? We're here talking about, was it Monster Trucks on Saturday? No, it's Mallrats.
Well,
no, Chasing Amy and Dogma. Eventually snapped
surprisingly, we somehow stayed mostly on topic, right?
Well, you didn't have me. I hope you guys know by now you don't have me on your show to keep things on topic.
That's why I love having you here. But
let me tell you about the complexities of Total Recall right now.
You're like the fisherman. You know how to hook us and bring us back.
You're our anchor for fucking the time period. You're not an.
Well, yeah, because I got to fucking work in the morning.
You keep us locked.
I got to get up early.
Yeah, every now and again I'm like, but what about Reality Bites though? Don't you think that's kind of adjacent to fucking?
But that's the problem. The fucked up part is like if you really break down the time period that most of the movies came out, Kevin Smith movies included, there was a feel to a lot of them. But I would argue that Kevin Smith movies put a spin on them. They made them different. It wasn't just like
so. Real quick, while we're talking about that, like I said, I watched Chasing Amy before we came on here. I gotta say, like to me, even like it's probably maybe only the 4th time I've ever seen it in my entire life because I saw it like when I was like 20 for the first time, and I've watched it a few times since then. And so while I'm watching it, I'm sitting here thinking like this isn't obviously it doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith movie. Just think about it. Every Kevin Smith movie up to that point, of course, there was only 2, but you had a lot of Jay and Silent Bob happening. You had a lot of slapstick style comedy type shit happening, or just off the wall conversations. And while you get a lot of that in Chasing Amy, it's more of it just feels like a '90s movie.
It does,
like to me,
a straight guy writing about a lesbian affair and he didn't understand it. Like
that's where the Kevin Smith element comes into play.
The conversations that were definitely Kevin Smith.
Well, that's the thing. Like the motion that I was watching that was this whole thing was a fucking straight guy writing about a lesbian relationship and not understanding it.
Yeah,
I get that.
And he tried to make it a love story. He tried to make it a love lost story.
Right.
And that's kind of why it works, I feel like, is because like the character doesn't understand it. Ben Affleck's character doesn't really understand it
at all.
And like,
First,
yeah,
all
and
as a
that's
kid, especially even writing his little comic book by himself, with that they make fun of in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. But there was like that movie as a standalone. It was a great ending. It was a good.
And I do consider it one of the best, if not the best, love story of any Kevin Smith movie, though. I mean, it's this or Clerks 2 for me. Like those are the love stories that like all die on that hill. You know, I'm certainly.
Clerks 2 was great just because you got to see the fucking loser end up with arguably another loser that didn't care.
Yeah.
Like Clerks 2 was legitimately, it was just people who didn't give a shit anymore. They were just living their lives, and that's how it was. At least to me, anyways. Like watching it, but like he had his rich girlfriend played by his actual wife, right? Like he had her and like this whole wedding set up, except it was like that was never his thing, and it wasn't her thing. And then there was, part 3.
Donkey Show killed it all.
The Donkey Show killed it. First off, let's be fair. That man loved his donkey.
The stud. Kinky Kelly and the stud, right? Wasn't that?
The Skinky Kelly and the sexy stud.
Kinky Kelly and the sexy stud. For an extra $500, you can fuck Kelly.
I would like the whole.
Don't forget. Don't forget, Kelly can be a guy's name too.
Yep.
Like all the silliness that went through it, like all the pop culture references, all this, the Transformers, Lord of the Rings, all that shit. Disregard all of it and just look at the basic storyline. You had a guy who had what was essentially his whole life laid out before him, disregarding it and following something else for somebody who was basically him. Like Rosario Dawson's character, she was a manager at a fucking fast food restaurant. That's not a step up. It is what he already had. But it's also what made him happy.
That's the point there. Like, that was the thing. Like, you don't need more if you're already happy where you're at.
No, exactly. Exactly that. Which even back
and that's what Clerks 2 was Dante realizing that.
Well, and Randall realizing, all of them realizing, let's get the fucking quick stuff. That's when we were continuing.
Randall realizing that Dante is essentially his hetero life mate.
Right.
Dante is Randall's silent Bob. You know what I mean?
I did miss all the references to fucking what's her name drowning in the pool.
Julie Dwyer. Julie Dwyer. Is that what her name was?
Mentioning it in Clerks and be like, she dropped dead, and then talking about it in Clerks, and then fucking Clerks
and Mallrats and in Mallrats the storyline.
But
and then
in Chasing Amy, she was.
And in Chasing Amy, yes.
Did you tell her that the camera had fucking, you look way fatter on TV? Yeah, well, I might have mentioned the camera had a few pounds.
You had the fattest ass.
She went right to the YMCA and just started doing laps, and she died in the middle of a 700 lap.
Big backstroke.
TS's girlfriend? Was it TS?
Claire Filani,
London. Jeremy London.
Yeah.
Right.
Jason London, I think it was.
Jason London.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're the same person.
The other one of them was in Mallrats. The other one was in Dazed and Confused.
It was the whole thing, but like, all right, first off, I didn't know she was British until I saw the thing with Brad Pitt.
That blew my mind.
Meet Joe Black or whatever.
Yeah, that was. So like, and she was doing an American accent in that, except it wasn't good. It was clear she was British, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was trying very hard in Mallrats. And I always wondered why she pronounced things the way she pronounced them. And it wasn't until I saw Meet Joe Black that I was like, oh shit, she's British.
Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah, I don't know if I knew that either. I always remember her from Mystery Men as well, a movie that I love of that era.
Oh, Mystery Men's a fucking.
I just watched that the other day. It's on Prime.
That's a great example of like a studio mess. Like that is just like everybody hated everybody in that movie. Nobody ever worked with anyone again from that. And the director that did that went right back to doing commercials. He's like, fuck movie stars.
You can see that's all true. That actually all applies, especially because it failed miserably at the box office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But from a comic book standpoint, it's a brilliant.
Oh my god, it's glorious.
It's way ahead of its time. That movie is better now than it was then. Yeah.
Every character, even the silly characters,
I would agree.
Silly, funny little characters, except they were presented the way they should have been presented. Like the interaction, even the dialogue, all of it, all the way down to fucking Greg Kinnear showing up as fucking whatever his name was. Was it
Captain
Greg?
Amazing?
Oh,
Yeah, Captain Amazing.
yeah.
Because Lance Hunt is Captain Amazing. Oh, don't start this again. Lance Hunt wears glasses. Captain Amazing doesn't wear glasses. Takes them off when he transforms. That doesn't make any sense, Roy. He wouldn't be able to see.
That was you just said ahead of its time. That whole thing, easily 15, 20 years ahead of its time. Just that fucking conversation.
Yes, 100%. Very,
Dave
yeah.
Cook is the fucking waffler.
That's honestly, and like to tie it back, that is maybe one of the the best comic book conversations since, or maybe the first great comic book dialogue post. The only way he could fuck regular chicks is with a kryptonite condom.
Yeah,
that'd kill him.
Otherwise, he's gonna blow a little
Which is
straight
the
through
scene?
back like a
Which is the scene that got Kevin Smith hired to write Superman Lives, the '90s movie that never got made. Which that's a whole. Oh my god, I could talk about that for days and days and days. There's a great documentary about it though.
Wait. Also, for one of the three people that come across this, Stan Lee's cameos started in Kevin Smith movies.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Mallrats.
And that is
just like me. I was a rage of emotions.
And there's even a shout out to it in Captain Marvel with the Stan Lee cameo.
He's reading the script.
He's reading
Yeah.
the Mallrats script. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes, so good.
Subtle little hey.
So either way, one of the three people, go tell your friends it's important. They should know this.
Well, I like that Michael Rooker was in Mallrats too, and then he's bumping Yondu. I'm like, I've seen Yondu's butt because he was in Mallrats.
Oh my god, yeah. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Yeah.
I literally cannot eat a fucking chocolate covered pretzel. I mean, even the white chocolate covered pretzels, the fucking like I cannot eat that without thinking about dysentery.
Yeah.
Certain things
I can't do it.
Certain things even movies can't ruin. I do love a good
I love
Snyder's
chocolate
covered
pretzels.
yeah. They're so
Yeah,
good.
Snyder's.
You're nervous.
Chris, this is why we're friends.
Yeah. Snyder's are better than flips, I'm telling you.
Fucking
I like to live
you're
I
not
like
wrong.
to live on the I like to live life on the dangerous side, you know.
Yes. Snyder's pretzels all the way.
I'm not scared of tinnitus or dysentery. I laugh in the face. I laugh in the face of
Tinnitus is
middle-aged
so deadly.
danger.
That sounds horrifying. That is the worst possible way to be. I laugh in the face of you and your diseases. God, this sucks.
I laugh at you, knee pain, arthritis, and
you and your worms. Nobody wants that. It's itchy. Everybody hates it. That's not cool.
Oh my god.
Here we go
Fucking
again.
Here we go
But,
again.
yeah.
Well, you know, it's good. I turned into Don Knotts, you know, eventually happens, you know. And that he'll be the George Carlin role in my Dogma sequel, you know.
Nice.
And today we're gonna meet the Bunny Jesus. He's a really great guy.
Well, actually, you know the thing that it's funny. So George Carlin and Sydney, you mentioned him earlier as well, like especially in reference to Buddy Christ, right? He legitimized so much of what Kevin Smith was doing. Like there was like the fact that he was like, "Fuck yeah, it's a Kevin Smith movie. I'll do it."
I have to point out too that my Buddy Christ has been signed by Kevin Smith, and it says "Jesus saves." But you can't
fuck yeah.
Oh, that's so fucking cool.
That dude, I'm going to guess we all grew up and we saw him on HBO, we saw him on whatever, and we were like the 7 words you can't say on television and so forth. Except for he showed up in Kevin Smith movies. He legitimized them, like he made them.
Yeah.
Well, I love that the movies I've seen him in are Kevin Smith movies and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
No, it's fucking
Right.
Showing up as
Rufus was
He's in Jersey
awesome.
Girl.
Yeah, that's
that's the
Rufus
thing.
is
He
incredible,
is a Jersey
yeah.
Girl. God, like Kevin Smith even made fun of that. Thank you, Jersey Girl, for taking it so hard in the ass that we can make this movie. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that George Carlin read that script and was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it," because he appreciated the humor.
He's also in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You know, the unwritten rule of the road.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
We'll give head for
When I mentioned watching that in the theaters, and I was with a lady. No, it was Dogma. I went and saw Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back with a different girl, except for she was laughing so hard.
Dun dun.
No, like she was laughing. It was another midnight showing, and she was laughing so hard that I was like telling her to stop it. Like the thing is, I was laughing so hard that I couldn't fucking get her to do it. And then George Carlin pops up with the fucking unwritten rule of the road shit, and fucking both of us had to be like, we were told to leave.
Wow.
I didn't get to say. I got to finish that movie later on Blockbuster.
I'm thinking of it. And you know, I've seen before how Dogma was sort of Kevin Smith at the top of the mountain. But I'm thinking about Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and like, it's almost like, you know, Dogma is the right amount of big, and then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is like too big. There's like too many cameos. There's too many like Shannon Elizabeths and Ali Larders and Judd Nelsons and Will Ferrells and like it's kind of and Mark Hamill's and Chris Rock's. It's like an embarrassment of riches. Jason Biggs, James Vanderbeek, like then all the cameos at the end. If you're walking out of the theaters, it's like, you know, it's sort of like cameo the movie.
That was the joke though, right? Like
Word up.
He had to know what he was fucking doing at that point. Like it had to be like, I can fucking get anybody in this movie. Let's see what happens.
One banana or two bananas? One female orangutan or two female orangutans? One supreme pizza for $10.99 or two at Little Caesars for $9.98? He seems to prefer two.
Why settle for one supreme pizza when you can get two at Little Caesars for just $9.98? Satisfaction guaranteed.
Pizza.
Coming up next on Channel 11, Gem.
Imagine this.
Deep in the jungle, you discover it, the Cobra Terradrome with gun emplacements almost everywhere and special base for refueling vehicles.
There it is.
The Cobra Terradrome is really incredible.
That's Dr. Mindbender. And now look, they've captured Flynn.
It's time to warn the Joes, but suddenly they launch the Firebat. Live the adventure of G.I. Joe. Cobra Terradrome comes with Firebat and pilot. Other figures and equipment sold separately.
Yeah, I guess that, you know, must have been, you know, I don't know.
Well,
but
if you had fucking Jason Biggs talking about the fact that even at the time when his career wasn't quite like drenched, he was like, everybody knows me as the pie fucker. He got Biggs to stand on a national stage and say, everybody knows me as the pie fucker during what should have been like the high point of his career. Like
I also love the like you wouldn't make it 5 days on the creek or something. You're like, you wouldn't last one day on the creek, you know.
That's fucking James Van.
My favorite.
He's great.
I love it when Mark Hamill shows up as cock knocker.
Oh god.
You're not upstaging me, Vanderbeek.
So why do they call you cock knocker?
Funny little story.
I feel
like a house party looked like a house party too.
I got punched in the balls by a guy named Cockknocker.
Chris, you said earlier that you felt like he was sort of like Kevin Smith was trying to see what he could do with a movie after a point. Like, and that's kind of what I get that. It actually sort of makes sense. Like, who could he get in there? What could he get away with? By the time Jay and Silent Bob rolled around, my thoughts are he was probably thinking like, well, this is the last time I'm ever going to get to do something.
Let's just do everybody, get everybody in.
And then the next thing you know, he's directing shit like Red State and fucking Cop Out. Right. Cop Out, by the way, as much as he hated the experience, I thought it was a good movie. It was funny.
It was fine. I thought it was fine.
I thought, man, for what it was supposed to be, it was funny. To me, at least. Especially as it relates to what we now know about Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like he was saying, like, I think he said in interviews it was a soul-crushing thing, and he later said once he found out that he understood and it's okay kind of a thing.
Well, you know,
Eh.
I feel like, you know, it's ironic we draw these parallels between Kevin Smith and John Hughes. And there's a certain point where John Hughes, I think it was like right around after like Curly Sue or something, where he's like, you know what?
Terrible movie.
I don't need to be the king of Hollywood. I'm just gonna write these fun, cute little family movies under a pen name. And he wrote movies like Beethoven, and like he just did it under the name Edmond Dantes for the rest of his career. You know,
I love fucking Beethoven, by the way.
oh, I love
So
it. I
wonderful.
fucking love it. I like, dude. I literally just got Beethoven on Blu-ray, and all my life will be like so much better once Beethoven Second comes out on Blu-ray because that is the
Second's
greatest.
my favorite one.
That's the greatest dog acting in the history of dog acting, and
Dude,
and they
it
literally
seriously is.
they have a
Has
love
nothing on him.
they have a love theme song for the two dogs getting together, and it's like the greatest fucking moment in cinema history right there. Like it's
so
incredible.
awesome,
I don't care.
man.
Dude, that's a fucking, you know, and it's literally, it's not just that they have a song and they pick this song and they say, this is going to be the song where someone wrote that song. It's like, I will be your Beethoven. Like, it's
Somebody was
so
staring at
ridiculous.
fucking aliens being like, I can make this happen.
Such a wonderful fucking time to be alive. But that's kind of how I feel about how some of these Kevin Smith movies later, like once he gets out of the Viewisk universe, I feel like, oh, this isn't really it anymore. Like, no disrespect, some of them are great, like Zack and Miri or whatever, and some of them I haven't seen, and like some of them are fine, like Cop Out, you know. But I just sort of feel like it's sort of Kevin Smith's Edmond Dantes era, you know.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
You guys ever read Cacophony? The Kevin Smith Batman comic book? He created a whole villain named Onomatopoeia. That was the name of the villain. Like he would make sounds as he did terrible shit, right?
I was gonna say, I think you were saying he was gonna make Mr. Mixapitalik shit his pants.
And no, well, I mean that's the thing. The character itself probably could have. Like it was a well-written villain. It was a good idea. And the story itself was fucking brilliant too, except for Kevin Smith caught a bunch of shit because he rewrote the Dark Knight Rises. The intro to it, Dark Knight Year One, which is in the comic book. There's this whole scene where Bruce Wayne, after he gets back from his sabbatical, where he learns how to fucking fight and do his ninja shit, shows up and terrifies all the heads of Gotham's crime syndicate. Right? He shows up in they're having dinner. He shows up and cuts the lights and fucking throws a flashbang and then fucking ignites a flame in the middle of the table and lets them know that like this is your moment. This is where I warn you. When I'm done, all bets are off. After this moment, you can get out of Gotham or I will fucking kill you. Or I'll end you. Right? So that was Batman Year One, Frank Miller. So Kevin Smith rewrites that, except for he rewrote it as, while I was doing that, I pissed myself. I was so scared. Like that was Batman talking about it. And the thing is, he caught so much shit for that. Like, who the fuck is going to write Batman like that? Except for it makes sense. He's a normal person. Why wouldn't he? It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And then he goes to write Cacophony. Cacophony he never got to finish because of that, which is a shame. He got like fucking 12 comic books into it and then they just cut it off. Brilliant story. Wonderful story. I would suggest, once again, to the three people that see this, go find Batman Cacophony. Read it. It's a Kevin Smith comic book written at the height of his fucking prowess for writing.
You heard him, Mom.
Yeah, there you go.
And also to the three people watching this, if you haven't seen Kevin Smith's movies, first of all, crawl out from under your fucking rock. And second of all, go and watch them.
You heard him, Mom.
They're in their own category. You can't really put them with anything.
Yeah, you can't fit them with anything else. You have to go in with a completely open mind, but only with the knowledge of movies that you've seen made before 1994.
I think my mom did see Dogma. I think it's the one movie she actually did see of Kevin Smith. So,
he tapped in.
My mom, to the best of my knowledge, hasn't seen any of them, and I'm aiming to keep it that way.
I don't know if my dad's seen Dogma. If he's seen any of the Kevin Smith ones, it would be Dogma as well. So
I'm only saying that because I don't want to be disowned by my mother.
Which also, just randomly, Kevin Smith just got the rights to Dogma again.
Yep.
Just happened.
Will we getting that? Will we getting the anniversary release?
I'm not missing shit. I'm thrilled.
I have a VHS of it around here somewhere.
He's gonna. Well, the fact is, it's gonna be streaming again soon. And honestly, it does. It's as far
as the DVD too.
It's not a Jay and Silent Bob movie, as you would argue most Kevin Smith movies are. I mean, they play a huge part in it, but it's
they play a huge role in it, but they're not. It's not a Jay and Silent Bob movie.
It's a standalone film. It is a standalone, but it is important if you are a completionist.
Yes. And then, of course, Chasing Amy is a love story told from somebody who doesn't understand somebody else, and we all understand that. But the way the story is told is a very Kevin Smith way of telling that kind of story. But it's a different take on the Kevin Smith movie, like I said earlier. Like, to me, it just feels like a 90s rom-com with Kevin Smith elements.
Fair enough. No, that's fair. That's very fair, actually. I mean, the thing is, you could go off on Kevin Smith. Like, we've only, if we were only supposed to be talking about Dogma up to this point after Chasing Amy, right? So Chasing Amy, Dogma, and Mallrats, right? Yeah. The fact is,
you call them the Big Four.
Yeah, you can call them the Big Four, but that you could legitimately have a podcast that talked about nothing but Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
Kevin Smith anything really.
Yeah, no, because it's like you drop into the comic book stuff. Even his stand-up shit actually applies to almost everything as the pop culture shit goes. You could go indefinitely talking about Kevin Smith material, and he, honestly, as Chris put it, like the guy literally was the '90s version of John Hughes. With as much as he loved John Hughes, he was something different still, though. He was Kevin Smith. It was a different time. It was a different story. It was something that appealed to all of us.
Oh, bless you. And
That's
even
fair
the
too.
430 movie, I don't know if you guys have seen that. The 430 movie is still Kevin Smith, but now, because that only came out, last year? I just saw it in the theater.
I
haven't seen
in the process of waiting for
2024.
What was that, Jason?
The last thing that I read concerning Kevin Smith was that he's actually making a second Tusk with Justin Long. Like, if there's a whole, like, he's going to carry that on.
Interesting. Okay,
I'm down for it. It's the whole thing is any story that guy writes, I'm going to give some type of attention to because it's going to be something. I guess that's really what it comes down to. He's good at what he does.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to go around the horn here, get everybody's quick opinion. Favorite VOSQ movie?
Clerks.
Yeah, let's sit Clerks. Okay, that's that's completely fair.
I guess
Chris?
Mallrats. I guess. No, fuck. I want to say Dogma. I can't pick. I don't know if I could pick, but it's got to be Mallrats or Dogma, I think.
If you had to narrow down the most implicit Kevin Smith story, not even specifically the actors or the stars, but the thing that most made the story a Kevin Smith film.
The way that
Clerks.
What's that?
Who are you asking there? On that, Jason?
I got Clerks. I mean, for me, the thing that makes it the most quintessential, it's not because of the story. It's
what's the Kevin Smithiest of the movies? Yeah, it's probably Clerks.
Thing that makes everything that was Kevin Smith. The thing that it was like the go for broke moment. To me, it's either Clerks or Clerks 3, which I know doesn't really appeal for Chris, but it's one of the two. It's Clerks or Clerks 3.
I think the whole universe spawns from Clerks because there's always something that harkens back to Clerks in every movie. Since then, there's a reference.
For sure. It was the genesis of it all.
Well, it's like I'm 45 years old. I've cried at several movies through the course of my life. But most of them have been things along the lines of fucking Schindler's List, stuff like that. E.T. very clearly, when I was a kid, I bawled my eyes out. Fucking Explorers. Explorers made me fucking cry.
SLC Punk makes me cry every time I go watch it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because
if you don't cry when Shadow comes back at the end of Homeward Bound, you have no soul.
No, same thing. Exactly
that goes without saying, Chris.
Except I was a kid. As an adult, Clerks 3 had me teary. There's not a lot of, and it may have been hokey and it may have been aiming for it, but the fact is it hit. That's saying something to me. So the most quintessential Kevin Smith movie is Clerks 3.
I can get behind that. He kind of told the whole story and wrapped everything up in a nice little package and summed it all up.
And it was, once again, hokey. Definitely hokey.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But Kevin Smith has said, ever since his heart attack, he's making movies for him. He doesn't care about what critics say.
Which was also what did it to me. Yeah. It was the knowing that he had a heart attack and I was like, shit.
No, even with that though, like Dante was still Dante, Randall was still Randall, Veronica was still Veronica.
The
like, they didn't
still
make the characters.
Elias was still Elias, even though he was going through that weird goth thing.
That was hysterical. He was so good.
The fact that Randall was sitting there being like, you weren't, like, there was the eulogy. You weren't even supposed to be here today, and his voice breaks while he says it.
Yeah,
it's a.
I fucking broke down on that line. I was like, don't say that.
No, that was exactly it. It was the dumbest shit, and I was even annoyed when it happened. But it fucking happened.
But yeah, so Kevin Smith, you impacted our lives. I know you're not watching this, but we can hope.
We've said his name enough times that the algorithm should have pointed.
Yeah, it's got to be like Beetlejuice, you know.
Candyman. I remember that picture. It disappeared.
But yeah, his movies have impacted all of us in some way, shape, or fashion. Sydney, you've met the man. You have his autograph.
So sweet.
Yeah, and I live my life by Kevin Smith references anymore. So. Because, I come in on a day off for work. Doesn't happen too often, but when I do, I definitely say, I'm not even supposed to be here today. It's a theme. Yep. So, thank you, Kevin Smith. And thank you for everything you're about to bring to us, because we know you got more in the bank. I got to get up early. I'm sure I'm not alone in that regard. Yeah. So,
Life has the day off tomorrow. I am ready to sleep indefinitely.
Well, congratulations on your sleep. Enjoy it. Chris, Sydney, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you both back. This was a wonderful conversation. I'm sure we'll have you both back at some point to talk about Kevin Smith or whoever the hell else we decide.
We have like 5 other movies to talk about.
Yeah, we have a bunch. We got another guest next week. Yeah, there's a lot happening in the den. But until next time, Jason, next time we'll have Craig with us. We promise.
It's important.
Jason.
I think Craig just avoids me. I'm like, he's like, what? But you guys can avoid me in June at the PopCon, so he can't hide from me there. I'll see you guys there.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Hug the Craig for me.
Chris, Sydney, Jason.
Craig for me. When you see him.
Yeah, right.
Jason, hold him. Hold him, and he's going to be like, no. Come back.
Choo-choo.
All right.
Off the rails.
Jason, this was fun, buddy.
This was.
Pop Culture Punk, Chris Styles. Thank you again, brother. It was so good to have you back in here.
Thank you. Always
reel us in when we swam way too far from shore.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I like to, Well, I like to throw things off track. It's like, remember, that episode of Three's Company, and I'll try to
it's
bring
not
it
that.
back.
Back to Mr.
I
Roper
fucking
again.
shit all over everything. It's not on purpose,
Yeah.
but it happens.
And before we go, Chris, you got VCR Redux on Facebook and on YouTube every Wednesday night, 9 p.m.
Just on YouTube. We're not. I mean,
it's just on
yeah.
YouTube now. Okay.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, it's just a YouTube exclusive, I should say. It sounds a lot fancier that way. So stay. We just. What did we just do? We just did the Blair Witch Project, and next week we are doing Night at the Roxbury too. So if you ever wondered what Grieco and the Butabi brothers are up to, it's the place to be. Phantom Spotlight, VCR Redux.
Down.
You bet your life. Pop culture punk. Mashup served daily.
And I'm fucking in. Let's go.
It's funny because,
like I said, that's Wednesdays at 9 on YouTube. VCR Redux by Phantom Spotlight. Sydney, go ahead.
Wednesday at 9 is when I do my podcast as well, so people can rock, scissors, paper, shoot, see who they want. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit!
This will be
showdown time.
This will be my last YouTube exclusive podcast because I'm actually in the naughty chair on Facebook, and I'm not allowed to do live broadcasts until after the 16th.
Oh,
okay.
Because I posted a Valentine that was Jeffrey Dahmer. That said, "You're so cute, I could eat you up," and I got banned for over a month.
I did a mashup.
That's fucking hilarious.
No, there's a.
I did a.
There's a group that I'm an admin for that several guys posted anything with Jeffrey Dahmer, and it was literally humorous shit. It was funny shit.
Yeah.
Same thing. Jeffrey Dahmer got posted, and they were fucking booted, and they had to come back with alt profiles.
And the other thing is, it was in my Facebook memories.
And
I posted it on Facebook from my Facebook memories, and I got.
No, there was one dude that got busted for one fucking 3 years prior.
Yeah. Exactly. And every 3 days they tell me my post was removed. I said, "You removed it on Valentine's Day. Well, you don't have to keep telling me."
We had a dude who literally got fucking busted for something that was 3 years earlier, except for the fact that like they sent him a warning and he removed it, and then they sent him a ban, and he sent us a copy of the ban, and we were just like, "Okay, what do you want us to do about it?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm not allowed to comment." And then we fucking couldn't talk to him anymore, and he had to come back under an alt profile and be like, "I am sorry, didn't mean to put the group in danger. However," like there's an entire fucking thing about it. It's like, it's fucking AI. Fuck you, Facebook. Fuck you, Facebook AI.
Yep. So my show is
point out your fucking poster one more time. You're here. This is the time to do it.
Oh, thank you. So this is for my book. Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Go-Go, How a Preacher's Daughter Pole Danced Her Way to Finding Her True Self, the longest title ever. You can get it at learnedingogo.com. My podcast is Learned in Go-Go, the podcast, like Spaceballs, the toilet paper. I have Learned in Go-Go, the podcast. And
available on Amazon. That's where I got it.
The kids love this one.
Thank you. Yeah, I have my pole right here. It's my polecast room. But I also have... That's you guys. That's my Deadmented Geek Den poster is hanging up right there. So
fuck yeah.
You guys are in here too.
We're on the wall.
You are on the wall in the polecast room. Yes, it's like the Bat Cave. It's the polecast room. So, yes. But thank you for letting me plug my book. I appreciate it. And thank you for getting it. I appreciate that even more. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, in the words of Amy Sedaris, I like the pole and the hole. So I love Stranger with Candy, one of the greatest shows ever.
I have a comment about Zero. We'll talk about it after this when we end it. But there is a certain thing I have to say to you.
On that note, Jason, Chris, Sydney, thanks again. We'll do this again for sure.
I hope so.
Everybody, have fun.